Welcome back, guys, to part 6 of the Ultimate Fan Guide to Brockhampton. In today's video, we're going to cover Ciarán McDonald, otherwise known as Bareface. Bareface, if you didn't know already, was born on April 23rd, 1993, actually making him the oldest member in Brockhampton. I originally said it was Joba, but Joba is actually the second oldest member. So besides just being another pretty face in Brockhampton, Bareface is a vocalist, producer, and instrumentalist for Brockhampton. His stage name is Bareface, and he is honestly one of the most intriguing artists in the industry today. Bareface really doesn't spend much time in the spotlight, and he's in very few of Brockhampton's music videos and is typically in the back of like most Brockhampton interviews or even the group photos. It's really hard for me to get a complete read as to who Bareface is, but other than the fact that he loves cigarettes, he seems to be a little bit of a loner. Not to say that that's a bad thing, but overall you guys should not sleep on Bareface. There is a reason that the group pretty much decided that he should be the one to close out the first two albums in the Saturation series all by himself. Bareface has an unforgettable voice and just an amazing knack for translating emotion into music. A very notable quote from Bareface, and this actually came from an interview with The Fader, states that the focus on the group is more than just making music. The focus of the group is more on redefining things and shifting people's perceptions. The reason why we wanted it to be called a boy band was to kind of redefine the word boy band. The reason why I think Brockhampton is important is because it's not just short term. We don't want to make just one good album and then have it go away. Brockhampton isn't just music, it's film, it's videos, branding, everything. It's like a factory, like a business basically, a corporation. But to dive into Bareface's career before Brockhampton, Bareface was born in Belfast, UK, which is the capital of Northern Ireland, and because he's from overseas, Bareface is one of the two Brockhampton members that actually are not from the United States, which goes along with Jabari Manwa, who actually comes from Grenada. From a really early point in his career, Bareface actually already adopted the do-it-yourself approach that makes Brockhampton so special, in the sense that a lot of his music was really just made in his bedroom, or just produced or just solely mastered by himself, but that just goes to show that Bareface is already really talented and definitely had an ear for music. In another quote he says, "I started playing guitar when I was about 11 or 12 and have been playing music ever since. I started producing in bands and stuff when I was about 15, 16, but only started making electronic music properly in 2012. So along with Don McLennan and Kevin Abstract, Bareface has one of the most extensive solo careers out of the entire group before its formation. He began using the Bareface pseudonym back in 2011 when he first started uploading music onto SoundCloud and Bandcamp. Bareface first started generating buzz when he started uploading like covers and remixes of like popular songs onto SoundCloud. His most notable remix of Long Live ASAP has actually started to reach 2 million views on YouTube. But besides being just a really awesome DJ, Bareface and Brockhampton really came to be at the perfect time. If you guys haven't heard the story already, the boys have mentioned in plenty of interviews that they actually met back in the day on a Kanye West forum called Kanye Tuda. But despite that claim, honestly, the vast majority of Brockhampton were already kind of familiar with one another long before the group's creation. Merlin Wood, Joba, Kevin Abstract, Matt Champion, and Amir Vaughn all went to high school together. And from there, Romeo and Don McLennan were both pretty much from the same area of Connecticut in the Hartford area. And then as far as the other members of Brockhampton, Jabari Manwa and Kiko Murley were actually known as Q3 before they started joining Brockhampton. But Bareface is different. He didn't have any connections to the rest of the group outside of the digital space, and he lived a whole ocean away. In a quote that Bareface mentioned to Fader when it came to him starting to make music with Brockhampton, he stated, "I would go up to the factory a few months at a time and have to leave for a while. It was super draining going back and forth, especially with my parents being skeptical, like, what's the long term of this? You're spending so much money going back and forth. Where's it going?" I was like, "It's fine, just trust me." I think now we're finally starting to see that it's worth it, but now I'm good. It's just really crazy to be able to say, especially coming from Belfast. But besides being the resident sad boy, he doesn't really seek the spotlight, and you won't catch him in a lot of the music videos like I mentioned before. Even though he likes to sort of just like fade away in the background of the crowds or in the background of Brockhampton, especially during live shows, once he comes up to pretty much sing his rendition of Waste, Summer, or Team, he just completely blows you away. Ultimately though, Bareface still fills a crucial role within the group. Without him, it would seem ingenuine for Brockhampton to call themselves a boy band. But the ultimate role for Bareface in Brockhampton's music is that his contributions act sort of like a palate cleanser for their albums and the live shows. Bareface likes to really slow things down, dim the lights, and kind of gives everybody a moment to think and feel. He brings a lot of multifaceted skills like being a producer, a guitarist, and a vocalist to the group in a way that only Joba can match. You are more than likely to catch Bareface solo on a Brockhampton song more so than any other member in the group. In fact, he's actually the only vocalist in Brockhampton to have a whole solo song in the entire trilogy. Before the start of the Saturation era, Bareface made a lot of contributions, mainly as a producer. But as the Saturation era slowly started to become real, Bareface slowly shifted from the production into the role of vocalist and musician for Brockhampton. And honestly, Bareface wasn't on much of Saturation 1 because he was actually the only member not living in LA during the album's creation. At the insistence of Kevin Abstract though, he wrote and recorded his only track on Saturation 1, Waste, all the way from London, which actually ended up being the only song in the trilogy recorded outside of the United States. But after the trilogy's first installment, Bareface got his visa and stayed put in LA with the rest of Brockhampton to work on the rest of the trilogy. To dive into his musical influences, Bareface has consistently mentioned that some of his major influences include Frank Ocean, Prince, Michael Jackson, Slowdive, King Cruel, Wheatus, and actually Drake. And as far as whether or not he has potential for a solo career, I think it's very obvious that Bareface has a very unique voice, and I think that voice will take him very far if Brockhampton ever has to break up or the group just decides to part ways. It's super exciting to me that Bareface actually has like music outside of Brockhampton that's out there for us to listen to, but I would love to hear what he can do on the best days of our lives, especially considering that he had a very big part in Tanya. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you guys so much for the awesome support on this series and for just the start of this channel. It truly means a lot, guys. Thank you guys so much again, and I will catch you guys in the next video.